Hello, everybody. This lecture focuses on plagiarism and citations. Firstly, what is a plagiarism? It is a practice of stealing someone's work or idea, and it is generally stolen with the only purpose of misrepresenting as one's own. Plagiarism may be related to like theft and passing of work and idea as one's own, or the usage of information without acknowledging the source. Literally theft, presentation of an already existing information as a new and original idea. All of them are considered plagiarism. And talking in simple words, it is an unethical and fraudulent act involving stealing of information as well as lying about the stolen information. What are the different types of plagiarism? There are four types. The first one is known as direct plagiarism, which is nothing but an outright copying of an entire article or a book or a part of it without citing or quoting it. Then we have the self plagiarism, where you copy or write a part of some work that has already been done by yourself. Even that is not acceptable. At number three, we have mosaic plagiarism, which is also known as patch writing, where you copy the information from multiple sources without acknowledging them. And finally, there is accidental plagiarism, where there can be a neglect to quote the sources or also a neglect to misquote the sources. So, in accidental plagiarism, you may be forgetting to cite some author from whom you are referred, or you are citing a wrong author for the source that you have referred to. Either way, it is wrong, and all of them are punishable. Next, we should also see how not to plagiarize. Always remember these four things. Firstly, you should know what your sources are and keep a track of them. Whenever you look into something as a reference, I suggest you to look into them only when you know that they are authentic. Don't look into some random blog and say, like, okay, I have got a nice reference. Instead, look into maybe journals or magazines and curated videos which are authentic sources and keep a track of them. You should know which part of your work corresponds to what source that you had referred to. Then do not write everything as you see it. Instead, add your own views into the information already available. Along with, I mean, since the information is already available, you are bound to cite it. And apart from this, since you are adding your own views, you better write it in your own words. It is not that you can generate the information all by yourself. You need to refer, you need to read to learn. So, what happens here is when you read or when you learn, don't copy it as it is. Instead, take the information, add your own details that are available, and then write it in your own words. That is not considered plagiarism. Then do not forget to acknowledge the original author by adding an in-text citation, and also this in-text citation may also be listed in the bibliography at the end of your work. It is always important to acknowledge and cite, because when you copy something, it is offensive, and you should make sure that you suggest, like, okay, I took it from this person, so that you are being honest enough to reveal your source, and that would be considered. Then finally, make use of a plagiarism checking tool, so that let us say you communicate your work to some place, like let us say you are writing a scientific article that you plan to send it across to a journal. Always remember, the journals check for plagiarism. And also, if you're presenting it to your teacher or a professor, they will have tools that help them check for plagiarism. So you're writing an assignment, make sure you don't copy it. You're writing a dissertation or a thesis, make sure you don't copy it. Because there is sufficient infrastructure that is available to check for anything that is copied. So at the end of the day, when your article or work is found to be plagiarized, it is simply sent back to you, and that is an embarrassment. So don't let yourself go through it. So talking of which, like, what are the different plagiarism checking tools that are available? Like, there are numerous tools, like, and the gold standard here is Turnitin. That is at number 13 here, if you can see. Turnitin is the gold standard that is used across various universities. And Turnitin is a paid service. Meanwhile, there are a lot of services that are free, but I don't really promise you about their authenticity, but they are generally free, and they do their job pretty well. There is Plagiarism, there is Blackscan, CopyLeaks, Viper, Qtex, EduBirdie, Paperrater, Grammarly, Plagiarism Checker 10, Copyscape, Ginger, DupliChecker, Turnitin, Urkund, Unicheck, etc. And all of them, or most of them, work on a basis of providing free service for you, or providing services at a nominal cost. Either way, it is worth using a plagiarism checking tool. And unless you're very sure that you have put in your own words into your article, I suggest you look into your work using a plagiarism checking tool, so that there is no embarrassment faced later in time. So when we talk about plagiarism, citation also comes hand in hand. Citation is one way in which you can avoid plagiarism, other than paraphrasing and making sure that you don't copy everything outright. So citation is the way to convey to your readers that certain information in your work has come from a source that is not of your own. Or even if you have written something before and you are taking information from that, you should cite it. That is specifically called a self citation. So that avoids you from doing a self plagiarism. Citations serve the purpose of endorsing and acknowledging the authors of the sources you have referred to. And also, whenever somebody reads your work, they will validate your work based on the sources that you have referred to. So, This in a way authenticates your work. And also additionally, a reader may also back refer to those sources if he or she is interested in learning more about the information that you're providing. So now, how to cite is the next thing that comes into mind. There are numerous styles in which a citation can be made. And again, depending on the type of source you're citing, this citation style can vary. Generally, like if you're citing a textbook, the way you cite it is different. If you're citing a research paper or a review paper, the way you cite it is slightly different from how you cite a textbook. And let us say that you're citing a web page. Now the criteria of citation is different with regard to a web page. Likewise, there are numerous sources that can be cited. It could be like patents, it could be newspapers, it could be textbooks, it could be unpublished work like that of a conference presentation or a poster presentation, anything that is authentic enough. So the way you cite also differs. But however, before you start writing something, you should always decide on the type of citation style that you want to follow. And always make sure that you cite every source that you have referred to. So now let us say the first sentence that you write may be taken from source number one. You should cite it. And the second sentence, if it is from the source number three, you should cite that immediately after the second sentence. Okay, so you should always make sure that a citation is provided every time a source is referred to, and always adhere to the citation style specified by the target journal or publisher. So whenever you are writing, you would have in mind on where you should send your work to. Like let us say you're writing a scientific article, a review article, and you want to communicate it to some renowned journal. This journal will generally have its own citation style, and it is always good if you stick on to the citation style specified by the journal. Otherwise, there are chances of your article being sent back for corrections in the citation. And when it comes to citing something, as I told you, make use of something that is not manual, because manual citing or manual referencing is tedious, and it may also result in accidental plagiarism where you misquote or you forget to quote a source. So it is always ideal to use a reference management tool to cite appropriately. And there are various reference management tools, like there is Mendeley, there is easybib.com, there is EndNote, there is ReadCube Papers, Zotero, Cite This For Me, RefWorks, SciWheel, CiteForMe.org, Paperpile, Sourced, Citavi, Biblioscape, CitationZ, Bibsonomy, etc. The gold standard here when it comes to reference management tools is EndNote. This is a tool provided by Thomson Reuters. But however, this is a very expensive tool. Like it is in most of the cases not affordable to the students. So the other alternative and the best alternative you have is Mendeley. Mendeley is provided by Google, and it is a free service. So Mendeley can be used for referencing. So now talking about a few different citation styles, like just to make you understand on how much of a variation can be between citation styles. Firstly, I'll tell you about in-text citation. There are a variety of citation styles, like there are at least hundreds of citation styles. Okay, and each style will have its own way of being put up. I'll give you an example of just two citation styles which are commonly seen. Okay, for in-text we have Vancouver and Harvard. Okay, so what happens is, like, if you have read articles, you see that sometimes there are numbers that are put up at the end of a sentence or between a sentence. Like here, you see that Smith 3 presents convincing evidence that global warming is a much bigger threat than previous research has assumed. 1, comma, 4 to 7, comma, 9. So all these numbers are the sources from which this information has been taken, and they have put up this particular information in the Vancouver style. So this is how it is put. And now talking about the Harvard style of referencing, I'm only talking to you about the in-text citation with regard to Vancouver and Harvard. I'm not telling you about what they look like in the bibliographic list. Okay, so you do the research for that. I suggest you that. And talking about the Harvard style, here the author and the year in which this statement or publication was made is mentioned. So the same sentence, Smith 2009, presents convincing evidence that global warming is a much bigger threat than previous research has assumed. Johnson 2005, Abugabar and Gillan 2006, Chesalem et al. 2012, Leary 2010A, B. So there are a few things that you should note here. Firstly, there is something called et al. Et al indicates that it is a work done by a group, and Chesalem that we are talking about is the first author of this work. And then now again, we have another style here that says Leary 2010 A and B. So it suggests that Leary published two papers in this regard in the year 2010, and both of them are referred to. And Leary 2010A is one of the papers, and Leary 2010B is the second paper that has been referred to. So this is how in-text citations occur. And next, talking about bibliographic listing. Always remember, Vancouver and Harvard styles will also have bibliographic listing. Okay, don't think that Vancouver and Harvard are only limited to in-text citation. I'm just giving you examples of how they look in text. So now talking about bibliographic listing, I have taken four different citation styles here. First one is the AMA, or the American Medical Association style, where you have the name of the author, and after three authors, it is et al. And then comes the title of the article and journal. The journal is written in the NCBI abbreviation like J Clean On Call. That is nothing but Journal of Clinical Oncology, and the year in which it was published, the volume, issue number, and the page numbers. And also there is a DOI, which is a URL that will lead you to the paper in the journal page. Next, we have the MLA, or the modern language association citation style. Here, if you see, the way author name is written is different from that of AMA. In AMA, we had first three authors and then et al. That followed. Meanwhile, here in MLA, it is only the first author and et al. And the title of the uh, study or title of the article comes in quotes, followed by Journal of Clinical Oncology. That is the full form of the journal, and also like an official journal of American Society of Clinical Oncology, and volume being 37. And issue that was earlier mentioned in quotes is now not in quotes. Meanwhile, the year in which this is published has moved to another place as compared to the earlier referencing style. And now the year is in brackets, and then we have the page numbers and DOI. Next, we have the APA or the American Psychological Association style, where all the author names are mentioned and the year in which this publication has been made has been written immediately after the author names and before the article title. Then, following the article title is the journal name written in full form and the volume and issue, followed by the page number and DOI. Finally, the NLM or the National Library of Medicine style has got all the author names, followed by the article title and the journal name. Journal name here is in the abbreviations, the NCBI abbreviation provided. And after the journal name, we have the year and month of publication. As you can observe in the earlier three references, there was no mention of the month in which the publication was made. Meanwhile, the NLM referencing style requires month. And also, there is a mention of volume, issue number, page number, DOI, the date of e-publishing, the PMID, and the PMCID of the article. So each of these citation styles will have their own requirements. And if you observe keenly, even the punctuations provided within the citation or within the reference, and also the initials of the author, the way the author name is written, is also different uh, across the styles. So I mean, this is the same set of authors and same article that we are talking about, but it can be written in a lot of different ways depending on the requirement of the journal. So it is always suggested to look into the journal format, which will be available in under the author guidelines while you write your article. And this is an important step because even if there is a small difference in a full stop or a comma or maybe a colon or a semicolon in the reference, the article will be sent back for correction. So, in order to avoid that, and in order to make sure that your article is accepted quicker than pursued, it is always good to have them on dot. So, with this, I would like to thank you all. It is always appreciated to cite right to avoid plagiarism. Thank you, and I hope this video helped you. Thank you all.